Welcome back, my dear Mayhemlenburgers. We have got another great show here for you. We have one great guest here in the exciting round 2. If I had only 3 wishes, I'd happily spend them all to see these 4 games duke it out in the March Mayhem tournament here on Game Fight Show.
Game Fight Show.
Hey, Brendan the Professor Riley.
Hey, Rob Huber, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. I am just so excited about these hot games that we've got coming up against each other. You know what? I feel like we need some assistance here. Let's get some expert help. Who do we have helping out?
Let me look through my files. Yep, it's Andrew Nerge from R2I Games.
Andrew Nerge.
What?
Hey, Andrew.
Hi, guys. Thanks for having me on. It's always fun to do this.
Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for taking time out of what must be a busy schedule as you're continuing to design games. And you've just brought into the world the wonderful, wonderful game Canvas, which I believe you were just talking about last time we spoke here on the airwaves. And now it's right there. I don't know if you can see it.
I can see it.
Look, right here.
Oh, wow.
It's in my house. And what a great game it is, and what a great designer, and what great insights you're going to bring to us once again. I thank you so much for joining us. Wow. It would be great to sit down and just have a nice chat, just sort of, see how things are going. But unfortunately, we have to put the personal aside, and we have to get down to the serious work of games.
Game Fight Show.
We have 2 huge bouts today.
Oh.
Here we are. It's the second set of bouts in the second round, and we have heavy hitters. We have Race for the Galaxy is going to be trying their luck against Ticket to Ride.
Oh, this is incredible.
And then our second bout is no less stirring. It is Castles of Burgundy up against Azul.
Ooh.
I mean,
that's rough.
And this is another one. Andrew, as you'll know, since this is not the first time that we've had the pleasure of your company here on Game Fight Show, you'll know that Brendan and I take our journalistic role very seriously. We never bring our opinion to these bouts, except in the rare case where we do. And
of course.
So it's going to be wonderful having you here with us to not only share your insights, but also, you aren't shackled by those same responsibilities. You're able to give some opinion too, if you have one and feel comfortable sharing it. But, how could you not have opinions about these 4 games? I
Very
tell
true.
you. Should we just start at the
let's
top?
just jump right in. I have to say, with my laminated press pass that I keep in my fedora, it is really hard to not express those objective opinions. But can't tarnish that puppy.
I understand. At any moment I might have to stub out this cigarette and run over to the phone booth in the hall to call back and have them stop the presses. But we'll see how that turns out. At any rate, first game up, I don't know if it's too soon to call this a modern classic. This game's 14 years old at this point. Thomas Lehman's Race for the Galaxy. Wow. It is one heck of a game. Ooh. What do you think, Andrew? You played this?
Yes, I've played this game multiple times. It's fantastic, and there's been so many spin-offs, San Juan and whatnot in the genre. And so you're right. Is it a modern classic or is it a classic? Maybe that's for another Game Fight podcast. I don't know.
You bring up an excellent point. Excellent point. Look at the insight that he's bringing right out of the gate. The value for money, when you bring Andrew Nerge on your show, it just starts paying dividends out of the gate. That could really be the frame through which you view this whole bout. Are these modern classics or are these just full-fledged, dyed-in-the-wool classics? And I'm glad that I'm having someone examine something that's in a frame who made the game Canvas.
Yeah. I mean, who's better to speak on frames than me? That's a great point.
No one.
I'm looking forward to seeing how you layer your criticism and your commentary in amusing ways and then give it a cool title at the end.
I hope that he's transparent.
Hey.
Race for the Galaxy. What a wonderful game. I know that the dedicated listener will have heard me say before that this game, it's doing some things, I feel like, in ways that are a little different than the games that were similar that had come before. It took me a minute to figure this game out. I'm going to be honest. The thing that unlocked it for me was the play where I realized that if there's a card that I truly didn't understand, I could just not play that into my tableau. You can use that as currency. You can use that, as any number of things in the game. And that was what unlocked it. Then once we saw how the sausage was made, then we could fold those things in. Easy as pie. And we were off to the race.
Rob, if I can jump in here.
Oh, yeah.
I think the thing that stands out for me in Race, and this is something that sort of borrows from predecessors, Andrew mentioned San Juan, and, we see it in other games as well, but I think Race does it very well, is the sort of ebb and flow of each round where you are thinking to yourself, you're all picking the card that you're going to play that activates one particular process. And then you all reveal those and you decide you find out which processes you're going to get to do. And so there's a really genius bit of trying to anticipate the other players as you figure out, are they going to construct this round? Are they going to sell? Are they going to explore? How can I ride the work that other people are doing? And it's a tight choice.
Always. Sometimes you look at someone's tableau in front of them, you see the civilization that they're building, and you think you know the direction that they're going to be going, but then it turns out they've been working on something from their hand, and they don't choose the action that you were hoping they would, and you end up with a round. There are rounds where only one action gets chosen, and sometimes you were really just desperately hoping to coattail on someone else's action, and you're not able to. Just a lovely game. This is really, it's just a deck of cards. Yeah, there's a player mat. Yeah, there's some chits, but doing a lot with a little.
Andrew,
game.
You and your partner Jeff at R2I, you're all really good at building theme into your games and often working with relatively small component sets. You want to talk a little? I was curious how you think Race for the Galaxy does in terms of creating that space theme, and maybe give us some insight about how you go about making good theme in games.
How do you make Race for the Galaxy? Well, no, I mean, it's genius design. It starts with really good iconography. I think that's something that Jeff and I still talk about all the time and still try to work on, but it's like, what is a really small set of icons that we can introduce to the player, and how can those 5 or 6 icons interact and make all these crazy things happen? And you're right, Race does a really good job with the phases and what goes into it. You got your diamond cards, you got your planet cards. It's very tight and it's very nice like that. How do you make a game like that? I don't know. Lots of thinking and play testing. But yeah, and did he also just make Res Arcana?
Yeah.
He sure did. There's no moss on this cat. Race for the Galaxy and its expansions, Roll for the Galaxy, Res Arcana. Look at that. I can see Res Arcana in Andrew's hot little hands. He's also worked on several expansions to Pandemic, as well as some of the standalone Pandemic games. This guy, he's been at it since the 90s, and he's someone who, he is not calcified, he is not frozen in a moment. He is a dynamic designer who is learning and growing and changing and improving as he goes. And anytime you see his name coming out on a box, you have to wonder, what's in that box? I want to find out.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, incredible.
Talking about designers who've been at it for a long time, Ticket to Ride, Alan R. Moon.
Ooh.
The Moon Man is what we call him.
Well, Alan R. Moon started his career at Avalon Hill in the 70s.
Whoa!
In the 70s. Pretty much right out of school, he started there. You could argue what is the jewel in his crown, but this is certainly the game that he's going to be known for. Decades to come, he's going to be the guy who made Ticket to Ride.
It might not be the jewel in his design crown, but it certainly is the most common line item on his bank statement. Right? I mean...
Yeah. the island he owns in the Caribbean. It was purchased using Ticket to Ride money.
Right. It's not a jewel in the crown. It is the crown that all the jewels go into.
That's right.
That could be the case. You know, it is a golden game. And if you talk about a golden record, it's sold a heck of a lot of copies, this game. Just people who have marked it as owned on Board Game Geek. Almost. Just a stone's throw away from 100,000 copies owned.
Wow.
Almost twice as many as Race for the Galaxy.
Am I presuming that count is just the base Ticket to Rides? That's not any of the many expansions?
Yeah, well, and that's an interesting, we're back to something that people who've been listening to this show all the way back to the 2017 beginnings will know we've got something that we refer to as the Netrunner Conundrum.
Netrunner Conundrum.
When you're talking about...
I got to step in, Rob. Netrunner Conundrum is, why do we even bother with this, since Netrunner would win every year if we would just let it be entertainment?
The question is, if you're judging Netrunner, are you judging one box of the base game of Netrunner or every Netrunner thing that has ever been made? Well, Race for the Galaxy and Ticket to Ride, they both have sort of universes built around them. This is a case where I'm going to step back and allow the voting public, who will go to @GameFightShow on Twitter and vote to say which one of these two games they think should come out on top. I'm going to let them decide. I know what I would do.
I want to know what Andrew would do.
I was going to say power to the people.
Yeah, Andrew, what do you think? Which way would you vote? Would you vote as all of the Race for the Galaxy versus all of the Ticket to Ride, or just...
Yeah, how do you vote?
Your options are meaty versus light and fluffy, and both are delicious dishes. I just played Res Arcana, and I feel like it's such a leap forward in Tom's design chops that... could totally pick Res Arcana. Otherwise, I'm going to go Ticket to Ride. I think it's Ticket to Ride. But for personal reasons, I've gone to bachelor parties where we found a box of Ticket to Ride, and we were like, let's get drunk and let's do all these things. And then we played 5, 6, 7 games of Ticket to Ride instead, because we were just having so much dang fun. So that's where I am at.
There you have it. Ticket to Ride, it delivers, and you can't argue with it. Is it a gateway game? Is that even a useful term? Is it just a good game? That's up to the people to decide. What I can tell you is the weight of Ticket to Ride, 1.85. The weight of Race for the Galaxy, 2.98. So... there is that light and fluffy versus deep and sticky that you were talking about. It'll be interesting to see how this one turns out. I'm excited for you folks to go over to @GameFightShow and make your voices be heard.
Game Fight Show.
In the meantime, let's hear some more about some great games. Let's start with Castles of Burgundy.
Ooh.
I'm just going to grab the reins here for a second because I know people are sad that they haven't heard enough of Rob's voice yet on this episode. So here I go. If I said to you guys, Race for the Galaxy, Ticket to Ride, Castles of Burgundy, Azul, which two of those look the most alike? Brendan?
I'm going to go Ticket to Ride and Castles of Burgundy because they both have maps.
Andrew?
I don't think any of them look alike.
Well, what I'm going to tell you is that we have Ticket to Ride and Castles of Burgundy. Both have Julien Deval as one of the artists on there, which Deval is on both of these games today. And I think that if you think about that and take a little look, you start to see a little of their influence there.
Good point.
Castles of Burgundy. Brendan.
Oh, it's tasty.
I'm going to out you here as a Stefan Feld fan. Do you feel like that is a fair appellation?
It's fair. I have to admit, though, and some people might come and take away my Feld fan I was looking for a word that meant membership card that
Flair?
started with F, and I couldn't get it. My Feldfan Fedora. That's where I keep my press pass, because I've only played Castles of Burgundy in a virtual form. I play a pretty regular game of it on bout, Azul, the French thing. I hope that one of my secret opponents is Julien Delval, but maybe not. It's a delightful game. It does what Feld does best, which is tight systems that are heavily interlocking, that involve a little bit of input randomness, and then demand that you make interesting long-term choices and crucial short-term tactical choices. So, with Castles of Burgundy, you got these dice that you roll, and you have to decide turn by turn what you're going to do with them, decide where you're going to get the tiles. But choosing between one type of tile or another might mean later on you can't get that other tile that you needed, or, keeping an eye on other people's boards. I've mentioned before, I'm a big fan of one of his more recent games, Carpe Diem, which feels very similar to Burgundy in a lot of ways. It's got the tile placement. It's got a little bit of randomness, although the tile selection is slightly different. But, his games, it's like you're a horologist and you're fiddling around with a nice clock. I hope that I've picked the right profession there.
Hello.
Deep vocabulary. Don't fail me now. But yeah, it is a lovely game. It's great. That said, Feld is not the best at theme. And I think, against other competitors later, he might have some trouble. In this particular matchup, I'm not sure theme is going to be a huge issue.
Andrew, do you have anything you want to throw in there?
Nope. Perfect game. I do feel like
perfect game. Woo.
Really brought dice to like a Euro game to the forefront and said, this is kind of how you do it if you're going to have dice. And I feel like people were kind of scared to totally tackle that.
Yeah, get out of here, Klaus Tauber, with your Robert and Catan.
Then I'm just going to springboard off of what Brendan was saying and talk about theme. Well, you talk about theme, and here we have Azul. How do you feel like that's implementing theme?
Now, it's very clear in that game that you are mosaic artists working for the king of Portugal, building a mosaic that is supposed to be beautiful. That seems obvious to me. No. As light a theme as we've encountered in the bracket, perhaps.
Light is something that you can say about just about any aspect of this game other than the components. It's not a tough one to learn. It's not a tough one to play, but it's light and airy. It doesn't feel like, you're going to have a sugar crash after you play this game. You play this game, there's some interesting decisions.
Might have a black eye.
It could be. What you're alluding to there is quite apt. There's sort of indirect player interaction in that, I'm going to spend 3 turns wanting that piece, and then the person takes it right before my turn. And you know what? Anytime that you have those strong feelings, that's a sign of attachment to the game, yes?
Very true. That's the sign of a great game, is complete and utter stress.
Yeah, for sure.
Yes.
Burgundy has a little bit, what I'd call hate drafting, or like I came up with that term. This term I've invented, hate drafting.
TM.
Which is where you take a thing that you don't need as much, but someone else does. But Azul has, a friend of mine described it as the turn. This is a thing that happens in sometimes in films. There's this moment in Azul, especially in 2-player Azul, which is the way I've played it a lot, where you're playing Azul and you are going along, you're taking the stuff you need, your opponent is taking the stuff they need, the pile in the middle is building up a little bit, and then there's a moment where you each have an opportunity to just wreck the other player's game. They have one thing, they have a 3 spot open, they need those 3 blue tiles. You don't really have use for them in row 4. I mean, you take them anyway. Now they are stuck taking 8 orange tiles that they can't use, and those all go into that dump row at the bottom. I mean, there are definitely games that have bigger sort of screw you moves in them, but Azul, it's sharpened to a stiletto dagger that you slip between their ribs and then hope that you don't have to sleep on the couch.
Wait, I just need Larry in the booth. Just make a note. We've mixed the metaphors. Okay? Yeah, we're good. All right.
That's right.
Anywho.
Azul also totally wins on table presence. And this is the thing where I'd ask Andrew to weigh in again, as somebody who's done such a good job making games that are lovely to look at. Azul just, I mean, the box is beautiful. People come to the store and they stop and they're like, "Whoa, what is this? It looks like a piece of art." You know, Azul on the table looks pretty. There versus, I mean, Castles of Burgundy, it really looks like it could have been made in the mid 90s. And then they did a slight art update that has gotten mixed reviews and isn't a whole lot better. So what do you think, Andrew?
Yeah, I mean, that's what you're seeing there, right? Is Azul's a little bit newer, so it's got a little bit nicer of a little design polish on it, even though both the games kind of sit in a little bit of a Euro-y abstract manner. What I will say is, like, you know, as you talked about, I'm like, maybe these games are more similar than, you know, once first thought, you know? Because, right, in both games, you're trying to, there's certain tiles you need, there's certain spaces you need to go to, and if you wait, they might be gone. So I thought that was, like, an interesting point. To that, I wonder if Burgundy is just the better, more classic version that has been tossed in brown and tan paint, you know? And then the question becomes, you know, how does the audience feel about browns and tans and off-whites?
Yeah. This is another case where both of these designers, they're not new to the bracket. They're not new to the industry. Actually, all four of today's designers,
real heavyweights,
have quite a pedigree, each one of them.
Mm-hmm. In a year since 2017 when Azul came out, if this had been the final four in the bracket, nobody would have been mad. I mean, this is just a beautiful pair of bouts, and
yeah, there's a real powerhouse. I'm like, what's in the rest of the brackets?
Well, just taking a look.
You got to have Gloomhaven.
Oh, yeah, Gloomhaven's made it through. Wednesday, we're going to be talking about Wingspan coming up against Just One, and we're going to be talking about Scythe versus Spirit Island.
Yeah.
It is not getting easier.
So everything really is just a complete epic fight.
Well, and the truth of the matter is, I don't know if there's a bout out here where I would say that you're completely wrong if you choose that one. These are all great games. Burgundy versus Azul. Sure, either one of those goes forward. I'm like, makes sense. Ticket to Ride versus Race for the Galaxy. Yeah, sure. So...
yeah, both great games.
It's going to be so interesting. I will point out, this year we have the three divisions. We have the hot half, which is 16 of the games coming right off of the top of the charts. Now, that's, of course, excluding games that lost their first bout in last year's showdown. The only one coming up today from the hot half is Castles of Burgundy, whereas Race for the Galaxy and Ticket to Ride, those are from the classic quarter, or we sometimes call that the old Ocho. Those are games that have a couple of years on them, but really can hold their own. And then Azul, they're coming in from the excellent 8, and those are award-winning games. Certainly Azul's won a couple of awards in its 4 years.
Oh, yeah.
You know, these are just wonderful games. They're all proven performers. Great time once they get to the table. I'm so excited to see what you people are going to come out with. And to find out, we're going to need you to go to @GameFightShow.
@GameFightShow
on Twitter. We're going to have you go. And Brendan, it's usually just a 3-part plan, right? If I recall, is that a vote.
That's right, Rob. They got to go vote.
You'll know that Rattlebox Games is headquartered in Chicago because I always say vote, but there's only ever 2 games.
That's right.
So, yeah, early and
That's
often.
the tradition of Chicago.
Yeah, here. We've talked about some wonderful games, no doubt, right?
Absolutely.
We've talked about some beautiful games. We've talked about some games by awesome designers. Let's talk a little about some beautiful, wonderful games by an excellent design house known as Road to Infamy. Andrew.
Yes.
Canvas. You know, I go on the internet. I keep my finger on the pulse of the gaming community, as is my obligation. And I tell you, I see people saying, for Valentine's Day, I didn't know what I was going to do for my girlfriend. I bought her a copy of this beautiful game. She loved it. I see people saying, when is my FLGS going to have a copy of this game on their shelves? I see people saying how beautiful, how fun this canvas is.
People are saying, I don't got room on my game shelf, and somebody else goes, just put a nail in the wall, man. Yeah, can you, just in case we have any viewers who don't know, like, what is Canvas and where can they get it?
All right, Canvas is a light family game. The goal of the game is to take these beautiful transparent cards that looks like they've been painted with a brush and layering them together to make your very own painting. There's so many cards and so many combinations that each time that you put 3 cards and make your own painting, it's a completely it's a mostly completely unique piece of art. So it's something you get to create while you play. The game of it is there's little icons at the bottom of each card, and based on the cards you choose, you might cover up or reveal certain icons, and those will help you score kind of set collection points. Sometimes you want 3 symbols of hue, and that will score you 4 points. When you do that, you get to collect these ribbons, and at the end of the game, they'll count as points. It's a game that looks like a canvas, and you can hang it on your wall like a canvas, so it won't take up any of your shelf space.
And you'll want to, because it really is a lovely game.
Thank you.
You bet. If you're trying to remember where you might recognize the name Road to Infamy from, you guys also made quite a splash with Crypt a couple years ago.
That's true.
And then after that, After Nova, right?
Just keep bringing those hits. Now, speaking of working on things, is there anything that you guys are working on right now that you can tell us about?
Yeah, we have about 3 projects, and we're hoping to put out 2 of them this year.
Awesome.
Yeah, the comments have been kind of saying that people are already looking for a Canvas expansion, so we're hoping to have a Canvas expansion in April or May this year.
Boy, the people really don't care if you sleep, do they?
Give the people what they want.
Is that just in time for a reprint?
Yep, and it's beautifully, perfectly in time for another reprint. So it worked out on every level. You're right.
So the big question is, how are you going to make that expansion so that it either fits in the box, which I can't imagine how it would. That box is chock full. Because I got those cool, I got the cool wooden easels too. So I got a chunky full box. Or are you going to do some sort of addendum that attaches to the box? Because I want it all hanging on my wall, man. Maybe it's just a second box, I guess.
Oh man, I don't know if I can spill the beans this early. But there is another box. And that box is going to do something so cool that's going to make your first box look even better.
Nice. Innovations in product design. Can't wait.
Yep.
If somebody listening right now wanted to go buy Canvas, what's their best avenue?
The best avenue right now is to go to our website, which is roadtoinfamy.com. And for those who want something that's a little more familiar, we should have it on Amazon in about a week. So you can get it on Amazon.
Ooh. I asked your wonderful artist, Jeff Chin, who's right across your games from Jump. He's been making them just stand out with his work. I asked him to sign every card in the game because I wanted each of them to be signed by him, and he just punched me.
Oh no. Oh, violence. To be fair, the Jeff did all the graphic design. We hired an amazing artist named Luan Win, who lives in Australia and runs a hostel, and he's a very cool guy. And he does just crazy work, and
oh my gosh,
he's incredible. He's just an incredible artist, and I'm sure a million different publishers are going to try and pick him up. He's just that good.
Why did you tell them where he was? You had hidden him in Australia.
Oh, maybe.
I thought you were going to say if I want my copy signed, I have to take it to Australia and stay in that.
Why not? Why not? Find a reason to take the kids and go to Australia.
Because they don't want us.
Go. Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
Andrew, thank you so much for telling us all about the crew that worked on that game.
You're welcome.
Speaking of the crew, should we find out how it did in its big bout against Brass Birmingham? And while we're at it, we'll find out what Everdell had to say when it came up against Twilight Imperium 4 when Eleanor tells us right now. Hey, Eleanor. What happened there?
All right, it's results time. It seems that the crew knew just the trick to handle Brass Birmingham, who will be crying into their beer while the sun set on Twilight Imperium 4 as Everdell won the day. Another day of surprises. Back to you all.
Oh my goodness. Wow.
Holy moly.
Well, the crew, apparently it was effective, their cooperation, because they made it past Brass Birmingham.
Oh.
I guess Everdell is living up to the ever part of their name as they withstood the onslaught of all of those giant spaceships from Twilight Imperium 4. I mean,
I don't know if we'll be able to get last episode's guest Jason Brooks back after Brass is out. He might go home and cry in his beer.
Well, that's sort of the story here is the lighter games took out the heavier games in this one. It'll be interesting to see if that continues to be a theme. And if you want to find out, you'll go to @GameFightShow
Game Fight Show.
on Twitter and you will vote. And then you will tune back in right here on Wednesday to hear the results of today's bouts. Until then, this is Rob Huber with
Brendan, the Professor Riley.
and our good friend.
Andrew Nerge from R2I Games.
Thanks so much for joining us, Andrew.
Thank you.
We'll see you guys on Wednesday.
Game Fight Show.
Bye-bye, guys.
Game Fight Show.
Brought to you by
Rattlebox Games.
All right. Awesome.